The sun of Charleston shone through the windows of the colonial house, illuminating the pages of the diary where Lucy, at 62, recorded her concerns. Her fingers traced the lines of the paper as she tried to find the right words to express what she was feeling. As a retired literature teacher, she'd always had a way with words, but now they seemed to slip through her fingers like grains of sand. In the privacy of her room, decorated with old photographs and carefully organized books, Lucy confronted changes that her body was silently manifesting. Vaginal dryness had become an unwelcome companion, bringing not only physical discomfort, but also emotional distress. The loss of elasticity and the absence of sexual desire were issues she tried to ignore, pushing them to the back of her mind like pages of a book she didn't want to read. During her classes, Lucy had always encouraged her students to question, to seek knowledge, to not be ashamed of their doubts. Now, ironically, she found herself trapped in a self-imposed silence, unable to share her own concerns. The bathroom mirror reflected a woman who, despite her elegant posture and lively gaze, carried an invisible weight on her shoulders. Mornings in Charleston had always been her favorite time of day. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee mingled with the sea breeze that came from the historic port, creating a unique atmosphere that had always inspired her. However, lately, not even this daily ritual could dispel the feeling of disconnection from her own body. On her morning walks along the cobblestone streets, Lucy observed other women her age, silently wondering if they too faced the same challenges. Some seemed so confident, so at peace with themselves. How did they manage? Were they just appearances, social masks hiding concerns similar to hers? The historic city, with its colorful houses and centuries-old churches, had always been a refuge for her soul. Every corner held memories of decades of living, from her youth as a newly graduated teacher to the present day. The same streets that had witnessed her moments of joy now saw her pass with more hesitant steps, carrying questions she didn't know how to address. It was during one of these mornings, while organizing her old class notes, that Lucy found a note yellowed by time. It was a thank you from a former student, written more than 2 decades ago, thanking her for being encouraged to talk about her insecurities. The irony of the situation did not go unnoticed. She, who had always encouraged open dialogue, now found herself silenced by her own fears. On the small back porch of her house, where she cultivated a garden of aromatic herbs, Lucy began to question her own prejudices. Why was it so difficult to talk about these natural changes in the body? Why did society treat female aging as a taboo, something to be hidden and denied? The afternoons in her private library, once filled with lesson preparation and grading, papers now seemed empty. The books, her eternal companions, offered knowledge on countless subjects, but none seemed to address in depth and sensitivity the issues that afflicted her. Between the pages of her favorite novels, Lucy searched for characters that reflected her current reality. She found numerous stories about youth, love, and discoveries, but few spoke about the beauty and challenges of aging, about how to deal with the transformations of the female body in its maturity. It was on a particularly difficult afternoon, when physical discomfort seemed even more intense, that Lucy decided to take a walk to the local market. The movement of the city, always bustling with tourists and residents, offered a welcome distraction. Among the fruit and vegetable stalls, her eyes met a familiar figure, Martha, the healer respected by everyone in town, known both for her knowledge of medicinal herbs and for her wisdom of life. The encounter with Martha in the market was not by chance. The two had been childhood friends, having grown up together on the historic streets of Charleston, but their paths had taken different directions. While Lucy had pursued academic life, Martha had dedicated herself to the study of medicinal plants and ancestral healing practices. Martha, with her gray hair tied in an unpretentious bun and an apron stained with soil, emanated a serenity that had always impressed Lucy. Her brown eyes, marked by fine expression lines, seemed to see beyond appearances, straight into people's souls. "You're not well, my friend," said Martha, not as a question, but as a statement. Her hands, calloused from working with the earth, held Lucy's firmly and affectionately. There, among baskets of aromatic herbs and piles of fresh fruit, Lucy felt her defenses begin to crumble. The invitation for tea was inevitable. In Martha's simple house, where the aroma of dried herbs filled every room, Lucy finally found space to share her anxieties. The words previously dammed up flowed like a river after the rain, carrying with them fears, insecurities, and questions. As she prepared an infusion of chamomile and lemon balm, Martha listened attentively. Her backyard, a veritable miniature botanical garden, had been a silent witness to countless healing conversations over the years. There, among well-tended beds of medicinal herbs, many women had found comfort and guidance. "The female body is like a garden," Martha explained, serving the tea in antique porcelain cups. "It needs specific care in each season of life. Maturity is not the end of the garden, but a new phase of blooming." Her words, simple and direct, carried the weight of experience and the lightness of popular wisdom. With patience, Martha began to share her knowledge about the benefits of medicinal herbs. Flaxseed, she explained, was not just a seed, but a nutritional treasure rich in lignans, compounds that help in hormonal balance. Chamomile sitz baths, an ancient practice, could bring relief and comfort. But it was when Martha mentioned Kegel exercises that Lucy realized how much scientific knowledge was mixed with her friend's traditional wisdom. "They're simple exercises that strengthen the pelvic floor muscles," Martha explained. "They can be done discreetly, anywhere, and make a significant difference in intimate health." The afternoon wore on, and with each sip of tea, Lucy felt a weight being lifted from her shoulders. The knowledge shared by Martha was not just about herbs and exercises, but about accepting and embracing the natural changes of life with dignity and self-care. Before leaving, Martha prepared a small package with selected herbs and carefully noted the instructions for use. "Start slowly," she advised. "Observe how your body responds, and remember, you're not alone on this journey." On the way home, walking along the stone streets of Charleston, Lucy held the package of herbs close to her chest like a precious treasure. The afternoon sun painted the white walls of the colonial houses with golden hues, and for the first time in a long time, she felt a spark of hope ignite in her heart. In her kitchen, Lucy carefully organized the herbs she had received, creating a small ritual of self-care. The flax seeds were placed in a glass jar, ready to be incorporated into her breakfast. The herbs for the sitz bath were separated into small cloth sachets, as Martha had taught. That night, before going to bed, Lucy opened her diary again. But this time, instead of recording anxieties, her words flowed with hope and determination. A new phase was beginning, not an end, but a new beginning. And with the knowledge shared by her friend, she felt more prepared to face this journey of self-discovery. The first week following Martha's guidance was a period of adaptation and discovery for Lucy. Each morning began with a new ritual, adding golden flax seeds to her natural yogurt, preparing specific infusions, and dedicating a few minutes to Kegel exercises, as she had learned. At first, she felt a bit awkward with the new routine. The pelvic floor strengthening exercises seemed strange, and she often caught herself questioning whether she was doing them correctly. But Martha's words echoed in her mind. Persistence and patience are the keys to any transformation. During her morning walks through the streets of Charleston, Lucy began to pay more attention to her body. The sea breeze that came from the historic port seemed more invigorating, and her steps, once hesitant, gained new firmness. The cobblestone streets, which she knew so well, silently witnessed her gradual transformation. It was during one of these mornings, approximately 2 weeks after starting her new habits, that Lucy noticed the first significant change. The feeling of dryness, which had bothered her so much, had decreased considerably. The chamomile sitz baths, which initially seemed like a strange ritual, became an anticipated moment of self-care and relaxation. In her small library, Lucy began to research more on the subject. Her literature books gave way to works on women's health and well-being and maturity. She discovered that many of the practices Martha had shared had scientific backing. The phytoestrogens, present in flaxseed, the anti-inflammatory benefits of chamomile, the importance of muscle strengthening. One afternoon, while organizing her notes, Lucy found an old photo album. The images captured moments of her professional life, her classes of students over the years, the literature presentations she loved to organize. She realized that her passion for teaching and sharing knowledge remained alive, just waiting for a new direction. The benefits of the new habits began to manifest beyond the physical aspect. Her self-esteem, which had been fragile, showed signs of recovery. The mirror was no longer an adversary, but an ally that reflected a woman in the process of rediscovery. Her gray hair, which had bothered her before, now seemed to perfectly match her new phase of life. During her weekly visits to Martha, Lucy shared her discoveries and doubts. The backyard full of medicinal herbs became a space for continuous learning. Martha taught about new plants and their properties, blending ancestral knowledge with updated scientific information. "Look at this herb here," Martha would say, showing a plant with delicate leaves. "It's known as horsetail. Rich in minerals, it helps strengthen body tissues." Each visit brought new knowledge, expanding Lucy's repertoire on natural medicine and self-care. One day, while participating in an event at the municipal library, Lucy noticed curious looks from other women. Her lighter countenance and more confident posture did not go unnoticed. One lady, in particular, approached shyly to ask about her apparent transformation. It was at this moment that Lucy felt a familiar calling, that same urgency she used to feel in the classroom, the desire to share knowledge. She realized that her personal experience could serve as a bridge to help other women who, like her, silently faced similar challenges. At night, in her diary, Lucy recorded not only her physical changes, but also her reflections on this new phase. The pages, once filled with anxieties, now overflowed with discoveries and possibilities. Her journey of transformation was just beginning, and she felt there was much more to learn and share. The encounter at the municipal library was the catalyst for something bigger than Lucy could have imagined. After that first conversation, other women began to seek her out, curious about her visible transformation. What started as informal conversations soon turned into regular small gatherings in the garden of her colonial house. Initially, it was just 3 or 4 ladies who met to share tea and experiences. Martha, with her wisdom in medicinal herbs, became a constant presence at these meetings, bringing her knowledge and natural preparations. Lucy's garden, with its carefully cultivated, aromatic herbs, provided the perfect environment for these conversations. Thursday afternoons became sacred. Each meeting had a specific theme. One day was dedicated to strengthening exercises, another to the properties of medicinal herbs, and yet another to the importance of proper nutrition. Lucy used her teaching skills to organize the discussions, ensuring that everyone felt comfortable sharing and learning. "It's like being back in the classroom," Lucy commented to Martha. "But now we're all teachers and students at the same time." The group grew organically, with each participant bringing their own experiences and knowledge. Helen, one of the participants, was a retired physiotherapist and contributed valuable guidance on age-specific exercises. The women in the group were diverse in their stories and experiences. There was Rita, a local artisan who always brought her ceramic pieces to serve tea. Carmen, widowed for 5 years, who found a new meaning for her days in the group. And Beatrice, the youngest in the group, who at 55 was seeking information to deal with the changes she was beginning to experience. The impact of the support circle went beyond physical issues. Participants reported significant improvements in their quality of life. "Before, I could barely talk about these issues with my daughters," Carmen shared during one of the meetings. "Now, I feel more confident addressing topics that were taboo before." Lucy observed with satisfaction how the group strengthened. The women not only applied the knowledge in their own lives, but also shared it with their families and friends. The Circle of Wisdom, as it came to be known, created waves of transformation throughout the Charleston community. On one particularly special afternoon, the group decided to organize a small workshop on preparing essential oils and natural moisturizers. Martha led the activity, teaching ancestral recipes adapted to the specific needs of female maturity. The aroma of lavender and chamomile filled the air as the women learned to create their own preparations. News about the Circle of Wisdom began to spread through the city. The local community association showed interest in expanding the group's activities. Lucy, who initially hesitated to take on a more public role, realized she was facing a unique opportunity to make a difference in the lives of more women. "You're creating something precious here," Martha observed during one of their private meetings. "You're transforming knowledge into power, shame into acceptance, isolation into community." Her friend's words deeply touched Lucy, who was beginning to understand the true reach of her personal journey. The group also became a space for celebration. Every small victory was celebrated, whether it was the first time a participant correctly performed Kegel exercises, or when someone reported a significant improvement in their well-being. These celebrations strengthened the bonds between the women and reinforced the importance of mutual support. At the end of each meeting, Lucy recorded in her diary not only the activities carried out, but also the stories shared, the tears shed, and the smiles exchanged. The Circle of Wisdom had become much more than a support group. It was a movement of transformation and female empowerment that grew naturally, rooted in the strength of the community and the power of shared knowledge. The success of the Circle of Wisdom did not go unnoticed by the Charleston community. On a sunny morning, Lucy received an unexpected invitation from the local community association. They wanted her to expand her work, offering regular lectures on women's health at the community center. At first, the idea made her apprehensive. It was different to share experiences in her garden with a small group of women than to speak to a larger audience. However, her decades of experience as a teacher whispered in her ear, reminding her of her natural vocation for sharing knowledge. "You're already doing this naturally," Martha encouraged, as they prepared together a new batch of herb sachets. "The only difference is that now more women will be able to benefit from your experience." Martha's backyard, with its characteristic aroma of medicinal herbs, had become the laboratory where they planned future lectures. Lucy decided to structure the content systematically, combining her pedagogical experience with the knowledge acquired on her personal journey. She created modules that addressed everything from basic aspects of intimate health to more specific self-care practices. Each lecture would be a mix of theory and practice, always with space for sharing experiences. The first meeting at the Bias Community Center exceeded all expectations. The room, planned for 30 people, had to be reorganized to accommodate 45 women. They were ladies of different ages and social backgrounds, all united by the desire to learn and take better care of themselves. During the lectures, Lucy maintained the same welcoming tone that characterized the meetings in her garden. She spoke about the natural changes of the female body with naturalness and respect, demystifying taboos and offering practical information. Her explanations about Kegel exercises were always accompanied by discreet laughter and many interested questions. The shared knowledge went beyond physical issues. Lucy addressed the importance of self-esteem, self-love, and acceptance of the natural changes of aging. "Each wrinkle tells a story," she would say. "Each change in our body is a chapter in our journey." The participants began to bring their own contributions. Mary Jane, a retired nutritionist, offered to speak about healthy eating in maturity. Sandra, a yoga teacher, introduced breathing and relaxation techniques adapted to the group's needs. The project grew organically, fueled by collective energy. The impact of the lectures began to spread beyond the walls of the community center. Daughters accompanied their mothers, neighbors brought friends, and gradually, a network of support and information formed throughout the city. Women not only applied the knowledge in their lives, but also shared it in their social circles. At home, Lucy dedicated hours to research and preparation of material. Her library now included an extensive collection of books on women's health, phytotherapy, and integrative medicine. The old literature shelves shared space with scientific works and practical manuals, symbolizing the union between traditional and contemporary knowledge. The garden of her house continued to be a space for informal meetings, where lecture participants could ask more personal questions or simply share experiences. It was common to see small groups gathered there on Saturday afternoons, exchanging tea recipes and self-care tips. Martha continued to be a constant and fundamental presence. Her ancestral wisdom perfectly complemented the more technical information that Lucy shared. Together, they created a bridge between traditional knowledge and the most recent discoveries about women's health. One of the most successful initiatives was the creation of a small practical manual which gathered the main information shared in the lectures. The guide, written in simple and direct language, included everything from medicinal bath recipes to basic strengthening exercises. It was distributed free of charge to participants, who affectionately nicknamed it the Wisdom Notebook. 6. Months had passed since the first lecture at the community center. On that special morning, Lucy contemplated her garden while savoring her tea with flax seeds, a ritual that had become indispensable in her routine. The lavender flowers, planted under Martha's guidance, swayed gently with the sea breeze of Charleston. The project that had begun as a personal journey had transformed into a life mission. The lectures at the community center now took place 3 times a week, with morning and afternoon classes, to accommodate the growing demand. Each session was a celebration of shared feminine knowledge and wisdom. In her diary, Lucy recorded not only the activities carried out, but also the transformation she observed in the participants. Helen, one of the first members of the group, had regained her self-esteem and returned to dancing, her old passion. Carmen, who initially could barely talk about her discomforts, now led a subgroup dedicated to meditation and self-care practices. The impact of the work began to draw attention from health professionals in the region. A gynecologist from the local health center proposed a partnership, recognizing how Lucy's lectures complemented traditional medical care. "Your participants arrive more informed and empowered at consultations," the doctor observed during a meeting. Lucy's mornings now had a new purpose. In addition to walks through the historic streets of Charleston, she dedicated time to preparing new educational material. Her experience as a literature teacher naturally blended with the knowledge acquired about women's health, creating presentations that were both informative and engaging. The Wisdom Notebook was in its 3rd edition, increasingly complete and comprehensive. Participants contributed their own experiences and discoveries, turning it into a truly collective work. The pages now included everything from Martha's traditional recipes to exercises adapted by Helen, the group's physiotherapist. On a particularly significant afternoon, during one of the lectures, a 75-year-old lady shared how the acquired knowledge had transformed her life. "I thought it was too late for me," she said, with tears in her eyes. "But I learned that it's never too late to rediscover yourself." Her emotional testimony summed up the essence of Lucy's work. The garden of her colonial house remained an important meeting point. On Saturdays, women gathered for what they called Wisdom Coffee, an informal moment of exchanging experiences and mutual support. The aroma of fresh coffee mingled with that of medicinal herbs, creating a welcoming and familiar atmosphere. Martha, observing the flourishing of the project, smiled with satisfaction. "See," she would say to Lucy, "sometimes we need to go through our own challenges to discover how we can help others." The friendship between the two had grown even stronger, grounded in mutual respect and a shared commitment to women's well-being. The impact of Lucy's work extended beyond the borders of Charleston. Women from neighboring cities began to seek information about the project, interested in replicating the initiative in their communities. Lucy received them with the same care and attention, sharing her experience and encouraging them to adapt the project to local needs. On her 63rd birthday, Lucy received an exciting surprise. The project participants organized a special celebration at the community center, where they shared stories of how her teachings had transformed their lives. The most touching moment was when they presented a new community medicinal herb garden, named Lucy's Garden, a space dedicated to the continuity of the work she had initiated. That night, in her diary, Lucy reflected on her journey. What had begun as a period of discomfort and uncertainty had transformed into a vibrant chapter of her life. Her own transformation had become a catalyst for change in the lives of other women, proving that each phase of life brings with it new possibilities for growth and fulfillment.